I'll go ahead and get started. Well, hey, everyone, and thank you so much for joining this week's Small Business Essential webinar. Today, we're talking about the 5 elements of an effective website, something I'm really excited to learn more about. My name is TJ Daniels, and I am the director of the Iowa Center's Women's Business Center. The Iowa Center's Women's Business Center is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration. You will receive an email after this event from my colleague, Katie Hinches, thanking you for attending today's session, information on how to connect to our speaker, as well as a form to complete. Please do us a big favor and take some time to fill out the form. This information allows us to continue providing free educational programming for small business owners in Iowa. Now go ahead and please take some time to locate the chat function on your Zoom screens so you could join the conversation by asking questions or adding comments. One of the Iowa Center's main pillars is networking, so please feel free to introduce yourself and your business in the chat and include your website or social page so we could visit and learn more about your business and network. Now, a little bit about today's speaker. Andrea Love is a marketing communications consultant and copywriter. With 25 years in communication and as a StoryBrand Certified guide, she offers expertise in strategic communications planning and creative implementation. Andrea's personal passion is helping businesses and organizations fulfill their purposes and missions. Andrea, thank you so much for spending your time with us today, and the screen is yours.
Thank you. First of all, thank you all for joining today. I know that your time is valuable, so I am thankful that you would spend it with me, and I'm hoping that you walk away with some things that are valuable to you. Today we're talking about the 5 elements of an effective website, and I want you to keep in mind these aren't the only 5. These aren't even like the top 5 things that you need, but I think there are 5 things that can commonly be overlooked, and I think can be important and can make your website a lot more effective if you implement them on your own. Also, I have no idea what businesses you all are coming from or what you're in. So I'm talking very generally here and leaving time at the end for questions. So if you have specific questions specific to your business or your product or services, please feel free to ask those. So we'll start with this slide. Oh, also, I have a bigger screen over here and my little laptop, it's hard for me to read. So I may be looking over here sometimes just to get the fine print if I can't see it. But today what we're going to cover is a little bit about me. What do I know? Why do you want to listen to what I have to say? Hopefully you want to listen to what I have to say, but I'll just tell you a little bit of background so that you understand where I'm coming from. We'll talk a little bit about websites in your whole marketing mix. We'll go over those 5 elements that you can integrate and also some examples of those. So hopefully you can understand how they work in action. And then, like I said, I'll leave some time at the end for questions, which I encourage. So a little bit about me. My background is I was born and raised in Iowa, so I'm an Iowan through and through. Went to the University of Iowa with a dual degree in English and journalism and an emphasis in PR. So my education and background is all around marketing. Professionally, right out of college, I went into work for nonprofits, which was just the job that I could get. But I think it was absolutely no accident because I fell in love with that kind of marketing. It was very grassroots, no budgets, so really had to be creative and strategic. But later on, I came back to work in the agency world for my dad, who started Love Scott and Associates before I was born. It's a 45-year-old company. He had a lot of experience. I happen to think that he is a creative genius, one of my heroes. So it was very exciting to work for him. And down the road, I ended up leading the agency after he retired. And I did that for 10 years. And I actually got to bring my nonprofit experience in there and created an arm of the agency that works specifically with nonprofits called C3 Marketing. I learned so much in that area and loved it, loved my team. But in the end, ended up closing it and going out on my own, even though owning a business is on your own. But now I work more one-on-one with clients. Really got to hone in and focus on what I enjoy, which is copywriting and content and really the marketing strategy or communication strategy behind things. So as an independent consultant, like I said, I do a lot of copywriting, a lot of messaging, brand messaging. So that's, about the businesses, what they do, who they are, why people should care about them. And most recently, I did get StoryBrand Certified, and I'll talk about that in just a minute and what that is. But it really complements everything else that I do, and it was a way to bring in something that I'd always believed in. So I really believed in a lot into what I do every day. So I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then personally, I am a single mom of 2 kids. I read a lot. I have at least one book going at a time, if not more. And I just started running, which is new for me and very uncomfortable. So if you see a very slow running person out on the streets, that's me. But I've always wanted to be able to run. So thought I'd add that in there. Okay, StoryBrand marketing. So, oops, where'd it go? Sorry. There it is. I don't know if you guys know about this, but there is a book out called Building a Story Brand, and it's been out for a while. And I'd heard about it and just kind of shrugged it off. Didn't think anything of it, but one day did get the book, read through it, became pretty much obsessed with it. And the whole way through, I'm nodding my head because I have always believed very strongly in the power of storytelling and marketing. People relate to stories. People relate to things that they can internalize and understand by comparing it to what's happening in their own lives. And so I've always been a big one, especially in nonprofit work, but for-profit work as well. Always been passionate about bringing stories into the mix. So when I read this book, it just was like hitting the nail on the head for me. And they actually provide a certification program. So I went through that. And it takes really, it's a framework. And so it takes the 7 major parts of a story, all stories, whether it's a movie, a book, whatever, have 7 parts to it. And it's a way of taking your brand and figuring out not what your story is, but how you fit into your clients' or customers' stories. They all have the stories, and your product or service fits in there somewhere with the right customer, obviously. And that's where market research comes in. But really, this framework just helps your customers or clients to understand how you fit into their story. It helps you to simplify and clarify your message, which has also always been very important to me. People think that you have to be super creative or, figure out these, complicated but catchy things to describe your brand, and I feel the exact opposite. I think you have very little time to make an impression, and so you need to do it very simply and clearly. That doesn't mean that you can't be creative, because you can, but it doesn't have to be complicated to be creative. And in the end, what you want people to do, your customers or clients to do, is to take action one way or the other. Whether it's buying something for you, whether it's engaging with you or finding a way to keep the conversation going, you want them to do something. And so this whole framework, that's what it's about. So just want to kind of give you that background, because that's how I approach everything. I did it before I got certified, but now I just have more process ways of doing that. So that was helpful. I don't get any money for promoting this story or this book. I don't get any money from this book, period. So please don't think that I'm trying to promote you going out and getting this book. Do I recommend it? Yes. But I don't get any money for that. So I just want to make sure you know that. So websites, they're important, clearly. These days it is like walking through a front door of a business, right? But they aren't the be all end all to your marketing. It should be one component of a full marketing mix. Your website really needs to complement your whole brand strategy. So what you have online should coincide, should be recognizable with all the other marketing that you're doing, even if that's just you as a person going out. You have a business card, probably maybe have a brochure, it depends on where you are in your business. You may have a full toolbox of marketing things, but you want them all to be consistent, and your website needs to reflect that. Obviously, as a writer and somebody who puts together content marketing, I feel that your clear website messaging is critical. Basically, you have on average around 5 seconds for people to understand who you are and what you do, and if they don't, they're out. If you think about how you interact online with websites, you don't have time. If you're not understanding where you are, if you're looking for something and you're not understanding what somebody provides, you're going to move on to the next link. So obviously, being clear about who you are and what you provide is important. If you don't currently have a brand strategy or messaging that you've worked on, I would stop what you're doing as far as creating any marketing materials, and most especially your website, and get that done, because those are the fundamental basics of all of your marketing, and your website needs to reflect that as well. So that is really important. And I wanted to start with that before you go any further into your website. So what are the 5 elements that we're going to talk about today for an effective website? These are things that I see on any website that I like, and that catches my attention and has moved me to do something. So the first one that I want to talk about is having a strong header. We talk about the curse of knowledge, which is just putting everything you know out there. You're very passionate about your business or organization, and that's important. But when you put all the information that you know out there for people, it gets too overwhelming. So we're going to talk about, a lot of what we're going to talk about today is kind of the above the fold information on your website. And that obviously comes from newspaper talk. All the important news or the biggest news of the day would be above the fold of the newspaper, right? Well, above the fold on the website would be that first page when people land on your website, so your home page. And the best thing you can do to help them understand who you are and what you do is to have a strong header. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. Obviously, on your homepage, you're going to have your logo. So the header kind of works alongside with the logo to help people to understand what you do quickly. I have some examples here, and I did have the businesses where they were from next to them, and I decided to take them off because you actually don't even need it. That's how good these are. Again, I want to emphasize that putting a lot of information out there or being complicated is not going to do what we need it to do when people come to your website. So these are actual headlines from websites that I found. First one is feel good about your investment strategy. I think it leaves very little to the imagination about what this company does. It could go different ways, but this was an investment firm, so it's pretty obvious. Now, there could be other businesses that it could be that has to do with investments, but this was an actual investment firm. The second one is helping you become everyone's favorite leader. Again, it could be something around, teachers or something like that, but it was leadership development, a company that does leadership development. And the last one is probably my favorite of these 3, and that's turnkey account services for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. I don't see how you could misunderstand what they do. They provide it's a CPA firm that provides account services for entrepreneurs. And what I like about this line is that they establish how they know, or they establish some understanding of what they're doing, personal understanding of what they're doing, by saying, we're making this for you because we've been there. We know what it's like to be an entrepreneur, and that's how we know what you need. So look how simple these are. These are not complicated, and you'll see some more used in examples. They're also, if they're used right, they're not boring. I think people are afraid that if they're not providing something super creative or super catchy, people won't stay on their site. That's not true. People will stay on your site if you have what they need, if you're providing a service that they need. So we'll look at these examples, and I'm going to have to look over here to be able to read the small print, but this first one is it's a donor fundraiser database or service. So the simplest way to build and manage donor relationships. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. And they do, and you can provide, sub headlines, which is totally fine, like a little explainer. Software for nonprofits to manage your team and donors, built for fundraisers by fundraisers. Again, kind of putting in that expertise in there so that people know that they've been there, they understand what people are looking for. This one, again, notice that they have their logos up here. Most logos are in your left-hand, on the left-hand corner of the website anyway. You could have it out here, totally fine. But they do have the company name. I hope I didn't say website. I think it did. But company name in the left corner logo, kind of telling you a little bit about what they do and then or who they are, and then the line. So I loved this headline, Imagine If Moving Were Fun, because I mean, come on, whoever thinks of moving and thinks, oh, fun, I can't wait to move. So it gets you thinking, but you also know, okay, and actually I went to this website. This was an example that I had, and I went to their current website, and they show an image of a mover. So I thought that was better even than this graphic, which could leave you to be like, well, okay, what do they move, or what exactly are they doing? I liked the image of the mover with boxes coming out of a truck. But anyway, it says, imagine if moving were fun. Well, it would have to be simple and easy and stress-free. That's what we've come up with anyway. And it's made us one of the fastest growing companies in our industry. I think that's great, with call to action right underneath. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then this one, these beautifully showcase your property. So, and a picture in the background of a nicely staged place. But we create vertical tours and image photography that help you easily show prospective buyers your space. I wanted to point out that their logo also, Axiom, they actually did include their positioning line or tagline underneath, which is just virtual tours. Leaves very little to the imagination about what they provide. So if you think about pulling up these websites, within 5 minutes, you're going to know what each of these people do, or not 5 minutes, 5 seconds, you're going to know what each of these people do. So I think they're very effective. Number 2 is a clear and obvious call to action, like I just pointed out in the last ones. I always get nervous when I tell people this because I don't want anybody to think I'm talking down to them or being condescending, but we all, me included, need to be told what to do next. When we are super interested in something or if we're passionate about something, and this really came up in my work with nonprofits, if you're telling a story to get donors interested and they're just like, yes, the next question is, what can I do? So anybody coming to your website, if they are interested, even remotely, are going to want to know, what do I do next? Even if it's not necessarily buy something or shop now, what do I do next? And so both with the flow of your website, but also with your buttons, you want to tell them what to do next, and you want to make it as easy as possible. So your call to action buttons need to be everywhere on your website. I would almost say you can't have too many, but you also want them to be immediate things that they can do. So it's not contact us sometime or give us a call when you're ready. No, you want to let them know what they can do next to keep this process moving. And we'll talk about if they're not ready to buy or ready to engage yet in a little bit, but typically you want to keep them moving. And there are different ways you can do that, different buttons. You don't have to have all the same buttons. If you have different plans or packages that you can offer, you can put a button underneath, choose the plan for you. And that button takes them to another page that has the plans ready for them. If you sell products, order now, and that button takes you to the products page where they can either look at pricing or pick out a product or something like that. If you are a consultant and you need to talk with them before you sign them up to talk things through a little bit more, it can be schedule an appointment now. If every sale is different, you can get a quote. So if you can't even provide them pricing there or even the products necessarily, you can ask them to contact you for a quote, or if you need to talk, call now. The opportunities for that are endless, and you can get creative with those as long as they are directing them and giving them a solid action to do when they when they hit that button. So here are just some examples. Relax and enjoy a meal prepared in your home. We bring professional chefs to your home to prepare delicious, customized meals. Choose a plan. So I like that. Takes you to a page where there are different plans that you can choose from. A smarter way to manage volunteers. This is a volunteer management software. I like how they have that just right up front, so you don't even have to guess. And get a free demo. This is also a great use of a button. Get a free demo. Anything free is going to be pretty exciting to people. Now, granted, not everybody wants a demo, and that's fine. They have buttons on other parts of the website where you can do something else. So you don't always have to do the demo. And I put this in just to be sure that it's clear that even if you have mobile enabled, which you should have for your website, that the button shows up immediately even on the mobile. So that's why it's also important to have it like right up here above the fold, right under your headline. So that's not to say everybody's going to press that immediately when they're there. They're not. They're going to scroll down. I mean, some people won't. Some people will. They're going to scroll down. But at least it's there for when they do decide to go, and or if they've gone and done some other shopping, they come back, they're ready, it's right there. They don't have to search for it. The last thing you want is for people having to go and look to find out how they engage with you. The third thing is showing what success looks like. So your website should show how you are going to make you or your product or services are going to make somebody's life better. And we can do that both visually and by having other people help tell your story. So how do we do that? First of all, you want to think through how your customers are wanting to feel. What will their life look like with your help? We know actually that customers buy products and services, or in instances of nonprofits that even donate to relieve an internal problem. You may be providing a service for an external problem, but it's helping something that they're struggling with internally. So if we take, for example, a lawn service company, you are looking outside and going, my lawn is looking horrible, but I don't have time to go out there. I need a lawn service company. Internally, you're thinking either I don't have time, so I'm frustrated, or I am embarrassed because my neighbor's lawn looks amazing and mine is full of weeds. There's that internal struggle that you're dealing with. And so that lawn care company wants to show you how they can help you feel less stressed, less embarrassed, whatever it is. Again, I keep going back to market research, but understanding your audiences is pretty key to all of your marketing. So if you haven't looked into these things, I highly suggest you do. And that can be merely asking people that you serve or people that you help why they came to you, what they were struggling with. And that helps you figure these things out so that you can actually address them through the marketing and through the website. So finding out what your customers are dealing with, and then showing how that product visually, I'm going to start with visually, showing how that can make their lives better. So on your website, on the front page is, for the lawn care service, is somebody out enjoying their lawn with their family, or, out there with pride somehow. Just showing images of people whose lives have been made better. And it may not be people, it could be dogs. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Showing how your product makes somebody's life better. And then proving it, not just that you're saying it or putting up, stock photos of happy people. It's proving it by backing it up with testimonials from your clients, and or client logos. Both is the best of both of those. But studies have shown that survey respondents, 92% of them said that they read testimonials when considering a purchase. And I know that I do that. So I've had a lot of clients say, well, how do I get those? Or nobody's giving me testimonials. And it's pretty simple. I say, ask them. If you have clients who like your products, ask them to put it in writing. And almost always people are willing to do that. If they like you, if they like your product, they're happy to say so. If they don't want their names put on there, you can use first names and, maybe the town they live in or something. But testimonials are so strong. And you can provide questions that kind of, that ask what you need to know. How did my product or service help you? Or why did you come to me? Or what did you experience? That sort of thing. And then with the answers you get back, you can pull out what you think is a good testimonial and use that. So I have a couple examples here. Really like this website, Tie Boss. They provide like ties, for lack of a better way of saying it, but to help you tie things up, like in a garage, or tie things down to, say, a trailer or something like that. Really the headline: lose the hassle, not your stuff, a multi-use tool that makes hoisting up and tying down a breeze. Love that. First of all, the website, the homepage, I put that picture there because that was just one. It was actually a video, which I thought was very well done. They had a video of different people using it for different things. So this woman is tying, using the ties for a tent. And then there was somebody else who was tying a four-wheeler onto a trailer. And there was somebody else actually who was tying a deer that he'd shot or something. And that was not my favorite, but hey, it told the story. This thing can be used for a lot of stuff. So they had that showing what it's used for. And then down in the bottom, they had a whole bunch of testimonials, which was great because it showed the different ways that people used it. One says, this is perfect for tying down my RV awnings. My campsite is set up in minutes. Finally, an easy to use tie down that won't rust or jam when exposed to salt and sand. Tie Boss makes it easy to transport my lawn equipment in the summer and snowmobiles in the winter without taking off my gloves. And they have their full names in their hometowns, but you can use first names, and you don't have to use towns or whatever. Or if it's important, you can put age behind it or something like that. But hearing things from someone else, you can say all you want. You can say how great your product or service is till your face turns blue. But somebody else saying it or backing it up and saying, yes, I really did have a good experience with this place. It changed my life this way or that way, or it helped me do this or that, says a whole lot for what you're doing. And it is. So just ask and people will do it. My fourth tip would be to categorize products and services. Again, this goes back to being clear and simple. This helps people who are coming to your website to direct themselves into what they are needing and what they're looking for. It helps them to place themselves where they need to be, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. You can also kind of prioritize how things are categorized or appear on your website based sometimes on revenue. You can say, well, this product is just a small part of what we offer, but if you're looking at it and this product is bringing in, 40% of your revenue compared to all these different products that are each bringing in 5, 10%, whatever, put that little product further up on the website. So thinking through your different products and services, how they contribute to your bottom line, and then where they're placed and how they're placed is important to how people are receiving them and then interacting and taking action. So we'll get into more detail here. Long lists of products and services are confusing. I don't know about you, but I have either, gotten a brochure or gotten something in the mail or gone to a website, and it's just overwhelming. I don't even know where to start. So categorizing helps to send people to the area that they need to be on based on their current needs. So if you have a lot of things, figuring out what are the buckets that I can categorize these, so it takes them one step further into the place where they need to be. If you have products or services that overlap into multiple buckets, that's okay. You can list them multiple times, but it just helps to guide people into the area where they need to be. And it's also important to narrow down your choices. And this isn't the case all the time. So it really does have to depend on what you're offering, but sometimes not everything has to be on the website. Narrowing down your choices. And one example would be that website that I pointed to earlier about the company that provided the chefs and the plans. They probably created the plans because they have so much to offer, but they needed to put it into bite-sized pieces for people. So this plan may be good for a majority of people who are looking for this. This plan may be good for another, maybe a different variation for a lot of people who are needing that variation. And you can provide the customized version for those who just, what they need is just their own. And so you have a customized version. That's just an example. But narrowing it down into, hey, we have these 5 plans helps people rather than we have these 100 different services. Pick what you want, pick and choose, and put them together. And it's just like, it can be mind boggling. So, on that same note, some information or decisions can maybe be made later. They don't necessarily need to be put on the website. So let's go back to the plan thing. And I know a plan thing isn't going to work for everyone, but it's just an example. If you have this plan and there are if then, or if you don't do this, just know this, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't necessarily have to be on there. That can be a conversation maybe as you're talking them through. They've contacted you, they want to talk through things, then you can provide that information there. The key on the website is to keep it as simple as possible, not misleading. I mean, you can always put a line in the bottom that says, we'll talk more details, or there may be some exceptions or whatever that can be hit on later, but trying just to simplify that information. Offering fewer choices really allows people to have deeper engagement with what is on your site. So they're not boggled down by the details. They're not thinking, about things that they don't need to be considering quite yet because you're not there. So thinking that through and figuring out how to make things clearer for people who are visiting. And I have a couple examples here. Again, not knowing what businesses we have on this call, it was kind of hard to for me to find something that maybe might be most relevant to you, but these are just examples of how categorizing has worked. Gorilla Glue, I mean, it's probably like duct tape. How many different, glues or adhesives or whatever could they possibly have? Well, they broke it out here for you. So I think you could get a list of all of them all together if you really want that. Maybe some people do. But they've also broken it out into your glues, your adhesive, tape, sealant, that sort of thing, so that you can more quickly get to that area that you're really looking for instead of wading through a whole bunch of stuff. I will say I'm a big fan of cross promotion. So I don't want them in totally separate areas so that you don't even see what other products that they have, but you can see what other products they have. And oh, I forgot I need to glue that wood item, that furniture that I have. Oh, they have wood glue. Okay, I'll go and get that when I'm done getting what I actually came here for. So, I mean, there are opportunities for cross promote. And this company does training on negotiating. And so they have a whole bunch of different ways that you can do that. And they probably sat down and said, okay, we have all these products. How can we categorize them in bite-sized pieces so that people can get where they need to go based on what they're looking at? So we have online courses, live workshops, private coaching. They may have sat down and said, should we do it by maybe subject matter? I don't know what all different classes they have, but maybe there are different options based on subject matter. And maybe that would be a better way to categorize it. I don't know, but that's where you need to sit down and kind of figure that out. I will say, again, a good way of figuring out how people shop with you or how people figure out the services or products that they need from you is to ask them. Sometimes, or ask somebody, somebody who knows your business, a friend, and say, how would you go about looking for this? And figure out what is a good way that you could categorize things so people can find them easier. And the last thing that I would recommend is offering something valuable. And this, I think, is so key to the ability for you to start a relationship with people who visit your website, whether or not they're ready to buy from you or do business with you yet. And this is by trading something of value for something of value from them, and that would be their email. It's totally their choice. So, but it's a way that you can keep in touch with them and keep nurturing that relationship until they may want to do business with you. And we all cringe at that, right? We're all going, ooh, email, I don't want to give my email to anyone. But if you're getting something of value back, you'll give it, and we all have. So what we're trying to do here is establish some trust and expertise in you, maybe even before they're ready to fully engage and do business with you. So we know that typically, I mean, through studies, they've shown that emails are worth about $5 to $10 to each of us. So if we think we're getting something in return for around $5 to $10 that we really want or think can improve our lives somehow, we'll give our email because we know we can always opt out later, right? So what we want to do is offer something to them. A really, really easy way to do that is a downloadable PDF. So what of value can you provide? Say it's the top 5. So for me, maybe it's the top 5 things you need on your website, or the top 5 ways you can clarify your messaging, or something. The lawn guys could be like, let's say how would you say this? Okay, I'm a writer, not a speaker. So maybe the best way you can winterize your lawn. I don't even know if winterizing your lawn is a thing, but top ways you can winterize your lawn to make it look great next year, or something. So put that into a nicely designed PDF, something that looks like it's a value, and please make sure it does have actual value in it, because the worst thing you could do is promise this valuable thing that people give their website for, and they read it and go, well, that was totally worthless, and now they have my email and I'm annoyed, and you don't want them annoyed. You have something as an expert in your area to give, so figure out what that is and offer it to them as a way to say, see, I know what I'm talking about. I know I do what I do well. So here's something free for you. And when you're ready, let's work together so that I can help you even more. That could also look like how-to videos of some sort, or even a free consultation. Not ready to buy yet, sign up for 30 minutes of free, I don't know why I immediately go to lawyers, but maybe it's a 30-minute free consultation on your case or something like that. I don't know. But people, if it's something of value, they will give you your email, and hey, now you have a way to contact them, which brings us down to keeping in touch with them to nurture the trusted relationship. Of course, you're not going to email them every day. You're not going to hassle them for business, but it's a way that you can continually touch base with them, maybe once a month, to offer, it could be tips, it could be a newsletter with stories of people that you've helped with your products or services, deals, some upcoming deals. Holidays are coming up, some holiday deals, things like that, like send discount offers, things of that sort. So I have some examples. This is very effective, and I mean, I have story after story of this. What you will need on your website is a form where you can capture this information, and then in order for it to be of value to you, you need to do something with those emails. So having some sort of content management system or something where you can send out information afterwards is going to be helpful. Or you can check in, even if it's merely checking in with people and saying, I saw that you downloaded this document. I hope that it was helpful to you. Let me know if we can, help you any further. And that's it. If that's all you want to do, then that's at least something, but it's a way that you can follow up with people. Here are some examples. So the Amish Craftsman is a furniture place, and they provide the foolproof guide to designing your dream space. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. I would be interested in that. All you do is put in your email, your name and your email address, and then you get an email with the downloadable link. And there you go, you have it. This one I really liked because I liked how they are showing this document. It looks like a really valuable document that I guarantee is just a PDF of probably, I mean, maybe it is 5 pages, 10 pages, but it's still a PDF. Here it looks like a book, but it's still a nicely designed. It looks of value, and it's 5 strategies to become a successful negotiator. Get good at getting what you want. Here they have a little description about it, but again, all they ask is for your name and your email. Submit. That's it. Now they have your email. You can always opt out. If you do get people's emails and if you do use it to send them stuff, you have to provide an unsubscribe or a way to opt out. But it is a way that you can then keep in touch with people and keep going with your communication with them. And it's also helping you to establish that expertise in what you do and knowing what you do. So, oh gosh. This is the end. This is my contact information if you would like to contact me. But I would like to open it up for questions at this point. So if anyone has questions, please ask.
I know a question that I actually get a lot in coaching sessions is when is a good time? And I know it's different for all businesses, but when's a good time to even start a website?
Yeah. We were just talking about this before we got on. And it took me a year after I closed down the agency and went out on my own to do my website because it was so overwhelming to me. And this is what I do. So please don't feel bad if you, are kind of procrastinating it. I would say, like I said in the beginning, if you have figured out your brand strategy and your messaging, that is the time to do it. But that has to happen first, because otherwise you're going to get this up and going, and then you work on that and realize your website really doesn't say remotely what you want to be saying other places, or have already started saying, through materials, brochures, and things like that. So I would say as soon as you have that down, what you want your look and feel to be, who you are, what you do, and what value you're providing people, then is the time to start working on that. And then as soon as possible after that, because we know that it's one of the first places people go to find out more information. So that would be my recommendation.
So do you think it's important? I mean, when getting a website, I know a lot of the times I say, okay, so a barber is the best at cutting hair, a chef is best at cooking dishes. As an entrepreneur, we're not website developers.
Mhm.
So, but of course, we all start out broke. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fact. So do you suggest us trying to build our own website, or if we have our message and we know our brand and all that, or do you think it's best to save up a little money to hire a professional?
I personally would say I hired someone. I know enough design and have been around it to know what's good or bad, but I also know that I should not be doing it. So I found someone that I could afford and whose work I liked, and said, can you help me with this? And mine is very, very simple. It's a very simple website. I think if you have a simple and clean website, like I said, I don't think complicated, flashy is not necessary. I think people understanding what you do is necessary, and that's also why I would save the money to have someone help me design it in a way that doesn't distract from what I am trying to say and from what I'm trying to get across. Because there are people like me who will, if they go to a website and it's just cringy, to me, that's a reflection of how they do business. So if you have the talent and the interest in doing your own website, there are plenty of, there's Wix, there's plenty of, what am I thinking of? Plenty of website design, that you can do on your own. But
Depending if it's going to be a marketplace, Shopify, or if
yeah,
not, maybe just informational. I do agree. I think that, well, after experiencing it myself and my website being horrible because I don't have enough of time or energy to devote to
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it's like it's best to save up money because now I have something out there that, I mean, it shows a couple of pictures, but it's not the best me that I could be in the public eye.
right,
So,
right.
um,
And I also also did it, so even though I hired someone to do the design, it is a content management system that I can go in and change copy as I want. And boy, did I. I mean, I obsessed over it. That's what I'm a writer. So, I would change one word every 2 days, but that's okay. I just know my limits when I need something major as far as design changed. I go back and never change it.
And I know you're not a website developer, but do you know what is the average cost to have somebody build a website for you? It's
It,
crazy because I know it's a wide range.
it really varies. Yes. I would say ask around. If you know someone who has a business and has a website that you really like, ask them who they had and ask around a bunch of different people and get different quotes, because it really does depend. I can't even tell you. It really depends. But I
I've seen
will.
websites from $500 to $5,000.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, when
Oh
I say a
yeah. Yes.
huge difference,
And it
it's
depends
huge.
on if you have products, that you're selling on there. It depends on how many forms you have and things like that. So yeah, giving a range is just not easy, but I think that is the first step. If you're going to pay somebody to do it, the first step would be what's your vision of this website? How many pages do you think you have? Do you need forms? Do you need a product page? That sort of thing. And then start getting those quotes so that you know what you're looking at as far as pricing, and you can start saving for that.
I agree. Um, okay, so what is the one piece of information that you would want everybody on this webinar today to know?
I think what I would really want people to walk away with is that simple and clear does not mean boring. I think so many times people think, well, that's just, I want to be interesting. I want to be, catchy or something like that. And I think that's where people kind of go off the rails and lose people, is because they're not just being clear. Simple doesn't mean boring. To me, it means easy, clear, easy for people to navigate and that sort of thing. So I think that's probably what I would want people to walk away with.
If anything, I wouldn't even say simple, I would say concise.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
because when I go to a website, of information on how to contact you,
Right.
or a lot of the times, honestly, I am a testimonial person, so
Hmm.
I'll search the internet to find testimonials on a location that I'm going to, a restaurant, a hotel, a service. I want to see what everyone else says, like, has it been a good experience or a bad experience? So a lot of the times I do go to the website and look for that, and then just pictures, not even necessarily words.
Hmm.
So sometimes when a person may have, their little cousin that's in high school develop a website for them, and it's all the like
Flashy. Yeah.
I'm like, where's your contact information? That is like all I really am looking for, but it's so hidden, and all the pop-ups that come up, and
Yes.
it's it gets frustrating. So okay, so just another question, and I know you're probably gonna laugh when I ask this, but so a lot of us, a lot of people, a lot of clients, they don't have the time or money to into a website. So what are your thoughts on social media versus a website?
Mhm. Well, I think it really does depend on what you're providing. I think social media is okay to start with. I think if you, like you said, don't have the time or the money right now, at least you're there, you're online. I think it's important to be online somehow. And there have been times where I've gone and Googled, and tried to find something and couldn't find a website, but I found Facebook and I got what I needed off of there. So I think it's a good place to start. And if it works long term for you and you're getting the clients, the traffic that you need from it, fine. Until you need that website, stick with that. But I think as long as you can find a way to be online and be in a way for people that can engage with you and get the information they need, that's the most important. So yeah, I think if that's where you can start or where you can be right now, it's fine. but look at it as you would a website. Is the information there? Do you have ways for people to find out more? If you're selling stuff, can you put a link in there to Pinterest or something that can show, all the products or something? I don't know. Just make sure that what they need is there.
So I absolutely agree. Even sometimes before a person starts their business 100% and has a product or a service, I'm like, create a presence on social
Yep.
media. Even if it's just reposting articles or hints and tips, or
Yep.
just start to get people to follow you, because even through social media, you could redirect people to your website once you have it. Um,
Yes. Yes.
I
And you
think
can
I've
provide testimonials on there, or stories of people who have used your product and loved it. I mean, there are definitely benefits to it.
Absolutely. And honestly, I need to start having our clients go to our Facebook page or our website, or, and start posting reviews and
Yep.
testimonials, because I am the number one person who goes out there and looks at that stuff. And like I said earlier, or in a conversation we had, like, my website is tragic. Like, I'm embarrassed to even have it out there. But I'm like, go to my social media. You could
Yeah.
look at pictures and stuff on there. Um, the number one thing though is just get started. Do something, put something out there, make sure people know you and know what you're doing. Because that's the only way that you're going to get clients. That's the only way you're going to get sales, is, just get started.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Andrea, for taking the time today to share such valuable information with our audience. And thank you to the audience for being here, engaging, and asking questions. I also want to take a moment to share some information about one of our upcoming programs, BizFluent. We'll have the second weekly session on website development, and that starts November 15th. We just had marketing in October. This program is meant for business owners who learn tangible strategies for growing their business and resources available in the community to help. Each course includes hands-on coaching from our staff and volunteers, and action steps you can use to grow your business today. Katie will send additional information in the follow-up email from today, but feel free to reach out with any questions. With that, I will close with my piece of advice for us all, and that is to love what you do and to love what you do and do what you love. With that, have a great afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.